Want to change gears here to major national news. The FBI executing a raid on former President Trump's Mar-A-Lago home in Palm Beach, Florida.
Trump calls the raid, quote, prosecutorial misconduct and a weaponization of the justice system. We're joined by attorney Jim Bergenn, who deals with government investigations. So, Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so let's begin with the FBI raiding a home of a former president. Legally, why is this such a big deal? Kind of the obvious.
Well, there are already many constitutional protections against any search and seizure. What happened as a matter of law is pretty simple. You just need to have probable cause that a crime was committed and that it is probably the case that there is specific evidence at a particular place where there is a crime. And so here, there's enough investigations pending that it would not take terribly much in the ordinary course to get probable cause signed by a judge. What makes this very different is it's so politicized, and the target is just being extremely bold. And ultimately, there are different parameters that the Department of Justice sets up they have to meet, and both the current Attorney General Garland and Barr, the last Attorney General, signed off on a memorandum that says you really shouldn't do this during an election. So you got to get it done fast because the election's a couple years away. That's one big issue. To me, there's an issue I haven't seen anybody treating, which is even if you have probable cause and even if there is pretty good evidence that he committed a crime, you also have an ethical problem prosecutors have. They're supposed to only prosecute when they feel reasonably confident they're going to get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. So no matter how good the evidence is, you got to still get it by jurors unanimously.
Jim, if you're President Trump right now, you're obviously, we heard he was in...
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you are President Trump, hypothetically, and you're sitting in New York City, we heard he wasn't down in Palm Beach when they raided Mar-A-Lago. But if you're him, you're campaigning for different races all around the country. You're thinking about your own possible re-election campaign for president in 2024. What legal implications does this raid have on his life right now? If you were his lawyer right now, personal lawyer, what would you be telling him if you're thinking about ramping up to run for president?
Well, we've seen how he's interacted with all of his lawyers over years, and he really hasn't given them much regard. And so the duties of a lawyer, when you have a client who is just simply disregarding what you say, are very complicated. Most lawyers in that position will take their duty to the country to be very high up there. And you saw Barr wrestling with it. You saw Cipollone, wrestling with it. It's just not a fun position because lawyers are not supposed to replace clients. They advise clients. Clients do what they want. And some clients do crazy things. And you advise them, but you can't do more than that. So here, your question is easy. I'm going to try to persuade him to take everything seriously. But he's the same guy who said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I won't get prosecuted. And so, he's going to thumb his nose at anything that the lawyer says.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jim, for that insight and for joining us.
Thank you, Jim.
Good luck.